Does time ever stop racing by? Seriously, if anyone has any tips on how they can slow down and get more time, please let me know. I'd love to know, because for me, we're at the start of the year until October, and then it's Christmas, and then next thing you know, we're back at the start of the year, and time just keeps going and going by. Does anyone else have that, where it's like you just feel like you're at the start of the year, and then the next thing you know, it's the end of the year? Or do you feel like you have the middle of the year? I don't know. But apparently, it's almost the middle of the year. So I thought this would be a good time to do a little bit of a check-in on my reading. So see how many books I've read, see what series I've continued, finished, started, what series I've decided to put down, have a look at what things have stood out to me and what things have been disappointments. And in July, I'll go through and I'll do a tier list ranking of all my reads from the last 6 months. So that won't be in this video. And then along with reflecting on my last 6 months of reading, I want to look ahead to the next 6 months, set some goals, set some predictions, and give myself a little bit of direction of where I want to go with my reads, how many things I want to read, if I want to do more physical or more listening, what releases am I excited for, what series am I going to focus on, and what am I predicting is going to be good, what am I predicting is going to be not so great. So I'd love for you to come on this reflective journey with me. Let me know down in the comments, what were some of your best reads from the first half of this year? What are you excited for in the next half of this year? What are your priorities series-wise? What are your goals? What are your focuses? And while you're down there leaving a comment, make sure you like the video. It really helps out the channel. Subscribe. We've got lots of fun fantasy content coming. Like we've got a full 6 months worth of reads, fantasy book tier list coming. If you want to help out the channel a little bit more and get reviews for every single book I read, Patreon link down in the description. Or if you'd like to read Door of the Empire by Jenny Wirtz and Raymond D. Feist with me this month, the link to the free Fable book club is down in the description. If you just want something with some huge world building and some really good politics, I'm pretty sure that's what we're going to get with this one. I can't wait to dive into it soon. But let's dive into the meat of the video. So I am recording this one a little bit early. It's only the 5th of June today, but I have a holiday coming up. I'm going to be away the last 2 weeks of June, so I'm trying to get out ahead here. So at this stage in the year, I have now finished 35 books this year. At this stage last year, I'd read 47, and I'm okay with that. So we're 12 books behind where we were last year. But last year, I had a lot more time to dedicate to reading. Work's been busier this year. Life's been busier this year. As those of you who watch the channel can see, I've just recently moved house. So just time for reading hasn't been there. And I just haven't been having an audiobook on the go all the time as I was doing last year. I've just been taking my time a bit more recently and diving into some thicker reads that I can't read as fast. But still 35, on track to read over 50 for the year. I'm pretty happy with that. And I think I've done a good job picking books this year. There haven't been too many bad reads. There's been a couple like disappointing reads, that books I thought had a lot of potential to be better and just fell short of what they could have been. But we had 9 solid, really good 5-star reads. A lot of these came from Malazan, Realm of the Elderlings, The First Law, and then I Who Have Never Known Men. It was a nice standalone that got a 5. All really incredible reads. I've just been diving into really good series this year, so it's been able to keep the quality of my reads high. And even the other reads that aren't hitting 5s are still hitting around the 4s, 4.5 out of 5s. Yes, there is a good amount of 3.5s and 3s that I've had this year, but they haven't been bad reads. They're just not as good as I was hoping. Like Justice of Kings, The Lies of Locke Lamore, Fool's Fate from Realm of the Elderlings, Mort from Discworld, and Sharp Ends from First Law. They were all good books and good reads, just not great reads. So I'm very happy with the quality of the reads I've been having this year, and pretty happy with how many new books I've discovered so far. So far, I've only done 3 rereads this year, and all the other books I've read are new books, though I will do a few more rereads at the end of the year as we lead into some releases for series I absolutely adore, and I'm just revisiting some of my favorites from just all time. So let me just pull my notebook out here so I can have them in front of me, and we can go through all the series that I've read from this year, and we'll go if I'm continuing to read this series in the next half of the year, if I'm going to leave the series where I'm at, if I finished the series, and just what my general impressions are of each of the series that I've read books from this year. So firstly, like my channel at the moment, we're talking Malazan, A Book of the Fallen, a lot of the time because I am just adoring Malazan right now by Stephen Erickson. It's just feeling like the final boss of epic fantasy. It's huge and just it's so epic in every single level, but I won't talk too much about it because I could and I will be talking about Malazan a lot today and just over the channel for the next year because it is my obsession. I'm 3 books into it. I'm going to hopefully finish it this year, but 7 books to go in 6 months. I'll probably be finishing Malazan next year, but I'll be continuing to read it as quickly as my brain allows me to. One series I was able to demolish this year was the First Law series by Joe Abercrombie. I had read the first 4 books of the 10 books in the First Law universe before this year. Then I just smashed through the last 6 books early on this year and had an absolute blast. Just humorous nonstop, gritty on the ground tone. We just feel like you're trekking around in the mud, getting bitten by mosquitoes, whilst you're having some good, funny back and forth dialogue with the person next to you. Just a fantastic time. The world just felt bigger and bigger with each book, felt more and more engaging with each book. The characters, of course, were just all fantastic. Joe just is such an incredible writer. First Law, one of my favorite series of all time. Definitely something I'd recommend for pretty much anyone. Like a lot of the books I read, I'm not going to recommend for everyone, but First Law is one that is one of the most recommendable series I've read and just most enjoyable things to read with just the humor and the characters. Then The Wars of Light and Shadow by Janie Wirtz. I was only able to get 1 book further into this one this year just because I'm doing this one as a buddy read with my girlfriend, and just finding time to read Janie's prose can be a little bit tough. I personally loved The Ships of Marior book 2. I read Curse of the Mist Wraith twice last year just because it was such a fun time and I wanted to have it fresh in my mind as I went into book 2. I can't wait to find time to dive into book 3, War Host of Vastmark. So this is definitely a series I'm going to be continuing. It is just the exact way I want my classic fantasy. A huge epic world. Someone who's taken a lot of the classic fantasy tropes like the hero's journey and those sorts of things and just made it their own. They've taken the classic fantasy world building from Tolkien, but done their own thing. Like Jenny hasn't just done the elves, dwarves, and orcs sort of thing. She's got her own mythical races. She's got some unicorns in there just because why not? Then there's just really good character work, really good third-person omniscient writing style, which just gets you in so many different characters' heads. The writing is just, it's so immersive. Like it can be called dense and very flourishing and overly, like she uses a lot of words that you might not have heard before. So you kind of have to pull out a dictionary a couple of times. But I just find it just immerses me so much more into the book. And I just find every time I pick up The Wars of Light and Shadow, I'm just getting lost in this classic world with this really interesting story, The Wars of Light and Shadow, between 2 brothers, one from light, one from shadow. Oh, very gripping. I can't wait just to return to this world. So this is a series I will be continuing on with in the back half of 2025. Then Realm of the Elderlings by Robin Hobb. I've read 5 more Realm of the Elderlings books this year and a novella. So the last 2 books in Live Ship Traders, the Tawny Man trilogy, and the novella The Willful Princess and the Piebald Prince. Now, I was having a great time. I was just throwing out 5 stars and 5 stars and 5 stars for all of these books until we got to Fool's Fate, the last book in the Tawny Man trilogy. And I think this is where Robin Hobb was planning on wrapping up the Realm of the Elderlings. And then she went and decided to write 2 more trilogies after that. So the wrapping up portion for Fool's Fate is about 1/3 of the book. It's a very large book, and it's a book that's almost like a part 2 to The Golden Fool, which is book 2 in the series. They feel like they're one thing together. So for me, just the pacing of this, some of where the character stories ended up, I didn't like, and just how much wrapping up it did to then go and write 2 more trilogies in this world really got under my skin. I didn't like where the story ended. I got annoyed by some of the characters and how some of the important character journeys were just undone by certain magics being done. So I'm not sure if I'm going to continue The Realm of the Elderlings. I'm going to sit on that for a bit longer. So I'm not going to commit to reading any more Realm of the Elderlings just now. I loved so much of it that I probably will return to it, but I'm not making any promises for the back half of 2025. Now, Discworld by Terry Pratchett. That's another series I've returned to this year. I'd read about 4 or 5 Discworld books last year, and I've read about 4 Discworld books this year. And these are just fun circuit breaker reads. When I just want something light, when I want to just read and have fun and not think, have a little bit of a laugh, get like Terry Pratchett's like satirical take on something like Moving Pictures, where he does his own take on Hollywood. It's very fun and easy. I will say I still haven't read anything that's peaked his Moist Von Lipwig books, but Moving Pictures, Men at Arms, they were fun reads this year. Mort was pretty disappointing. I thought that was going to be good going into the Death subseries, but that was a bit of a letdown. But I might not read too much more Discworld this year. I think I want to find some other fun circuit breaker reads. So if you know any series that are a little bit on the lighter, more funny side, easy to read side in the fantasy world, a bit on the shorter to read side as well, please recommend some down below. I think like Orconomics is like something I want to get into. I've had a friend tell me about that and it sounds really good. And yeah, just anything along the lines of Discworld, but isn't Discworld, give me some good recs down below. I also ventured into the Warhammer 40k book universe for the first time this year with Spear of the Emperor and Day of Ascension. Both fantastic reads. Spear of the Emperor works if you haven't read any 40k before. Day of Ascension, you probably want to read a little bit of 40k first for that one to fully appreciate that one. But both really well done reads, and I will be reading more 40k. I don't know if that's this year or next year. So the company that makes Warhammer 40k, they also have a fantasy universe that I'll be venturing into sometime in the back half of this year. I'm very excited for that. The Gentleman Bastards by Scott Lynch. So as you guys know, I just finished up reading The Lies of Lachlan Moore a few weeks ago, and I liked it. It was good, but it wasn't my favorite thing. I felt some of the plot lines were a bit too convenient. There's a bit of plot armor. There was a few too many villainous monologues that bought our main character time to get out of sticky situations. But it was a good time. I don't think I'll be finishing any more Gentleman Bastards books this year, but I'm not closing the door on returning to those books in the future. I think I could do that, and they are fun reads. Another series I am open to finishing, but I don't know if I'll continue on this year, the Empire of the Wolf trilogy by Richard Swan. Justice of Kings, I loved all the ideas. I loved what the author was going for. I just didn't really love the execution by the author. I feel like the writing just has space to improve. The world building, building the atmosphere, the characters, the depth of the characters, all room for improvement. So I will probably continue on with that series at some point, because if the author grows and he gets better with those things, I think it could be a really great series. But there's no promises that'll happen this year. Then June, I read books 3 and 4 by Frank Herbert in his June universe this year, and they were a blast. Children of June and The God Emperor of June. I don't know if I have the IQ to fully appreciate what Frank Herbert did. Actually, I do know for a fact. I don't have the IQ to fully appreciate the mastery that is June, but I was still able to have a great time and just get some really good times and some really just good thought-provoking questions from these books. I won't read any more June this year, but I am very much open to reading books 5 and 6 by Frank Herbert at some point in time. I know a lot of people talk about them not being as great, but as long as I've got that expectation in mind that this might not be my favorite read, I still want to read what Frank wanted to write. Like, he's such an incredible author that I just want to know what he was thinking, and I want to see what his ideas were for this incredible universe that he built. And the last 2 series that I went into at the start of this year, so I finished off the Aurora Cycle trilogy by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. This is a YA sci-fi space opera sort of thing. It very much read at the age level of the TV show Star Wars Rebels. So it's very much along that sort of age bracket, tone, just a ragtag band of like 16 to 18-year-olds going on space missions, kind of being like a space United Nations for all these different planets and aliens, and they end up going on a mission that involves saving the entire galaxy, which is really fun and interesting. There was some like plot elements that aren't my favorite sort of thing, but Christoph's writing and humor really made this a fun experience. Though it's not something I would recommend for many adults. You've got to know like you're getting a very, very young tone for the story. But if you have kids that are younger teenagers, this could be something more for them. And then the last series I went into, the Shadowbinders series by Andrew Watson, fellow booktuber. He's got a fantastic channel. So if you're here watching me, you're probably already aware of him. But his series, Shadowbinders, that starts with Harbinger of Justice. I read Harbinger of Justice this year. It was fun. I really loved the world building. I loved his writing. It was very easy to read, but he has some just nice descriptions of things and some nice just philosophical questions that he'll throw out there. I will continue on with his series at some point. I don't know when. Maybe when book 3 is closer to release, because book 1 was a bit of a slower build. So I have a feeling that in book 2, more things will get going and the story will feel bigger and the stakes will feel a bit higher. So I'll probably want to do books 2 and 3 close together. So I probably won't return to it this year, but I will return to it at some point. Then my standouts from the start of the year. So obviously Malazan. I'm going to stop talking about Malazan. Like I'm getting too far about it. Warhammer 40k, and in particular, Aaron Dembski-Bowden. I loved the writing in Spear of the Emperor. I love the story in Spear of the Emperor. It's like a 3-part story where at the first part of the book, we are going to a area of the Empire that has been out of access for a long period of time. We're investigating what's been going on here. We've got the next part of the book, which is just an all-out battle. And then part 3 of the book, we're like, oh, I thought we've all through all the hard stuff. And then this huge mystery element plays out. Aaron writes this so well. The writing style just feels so grandiose, but it's gritty and descriptive at the same time. And such a fantastic experience that it just drew me into this universe. And I need to read more of Aaron's books. Also read Adrian Tchaikovsky writing in the 40k universe, and I'm going to have to read more of his books now. Other standouts, Wars of Light and Shadow, The Ships of Mary, or just Gianni is just a master with words, and I can't wait to keep reading more Wars of Light and Shadow. And then June, another standout, just Frank. I need to get in his head. Just how he thought of all these things when he did just makes no sense to me. He's just so brilliant. And then I want to say Realm of the Eldlings was a standout, and it was a standout until it wasn't. It was just I was riding a high, and then that last book just let me down. I know I should give it another shot and get back into it, but I just didn't have a good time with the last book, and it hurt me, Robin Hobb. It hurt me. So now let's talk about the other series I'll focus on in the next 6 months. So I've got the ones that will be continuing, the Malazan, Wars of Light and Shadow, and maybe some Discworld, maybe not. But there's new things I am going to be starting. So the one I'm starting at the moment, The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss, Kingkiller Chronicles. I'm like 15% into this one. I can't say I love the main character. I can't say I love the way he's written about and just how perfect and arrogant he is. It annoys me, but I'm loving the world. The writing is good. Not the best writing I've ever read, but it's very nicely done. It does very good for building the world and the intrigue, and I'm very interested in the plot, the story, and I'm very excited to see where it goes. And so I'll at least read Name of the Wind in the next 6 months. Obviously, I'm reading it now. And if I love it or if I like it, I'll continue on to Wise Man's Fear. But we'll see there. Then the other series I'm starting this month, the Empire Trilogy by Raymond E. Feist and Gianni Wirtz, Door of the Empire. It's our book club read this month. Link down in the description, just a quick reminder. I'm pretty certain I'm just going to love this. I'm going to dive in and read this whole trilogy. More Gianni Wirtz is always a good thing. Discovering some Raymond E. Feist, I'm very excited for that. Then the other series I definitely plan on starting, The Dandelion Dynasty by Ken Liu. This is just recommended to me by people that love similar series to me. So I'm going in not knowing too much about it. And the other series I really want to check out, another one, I don't know too much about. I just know the vibe that it's recommended by, and that's the Second Apocalypse series by R. Scott Baker. I just plan on reading the initial trilogy in this, the one that starts with The Darkness That Comes Before, and all I know is it's supposed to be the darkest fantasy out there. It's for people that like Malazan, and it's very nihilistic. And I just want to see something and I'm just very excited to check out something that's very bleak, has incredible world building, and is loved by fellow Malazan readers. For a little bit of sci-fi, I'm going to be checking out The Three Body Problem. I don't know if I'll read one book or the whole trilogy. We'll see how I go. I don't read a crazy amount of sci-fi, so we'll just have to play that one by ear, see how I find it. I'm going to be diving into The Way of Adan by Philip Chase. I've been wanting to read this one for a while, and just no more excuses. I'm going to read it as soon as I can. I've got the audiobook for it by Alan, and yeah, I just know it's got classic elements, it's got modern elements. Philip's a great dude, great YouTube channel, and I'm excited to check it out. And I don't want to know too much about it. I just want to go in and form my own opinion, have a great time with it. Then I've also got a list of maybes, series I may start, but I'm not too sure yet. I've had The Legend of Drizzt staring at me from my shelf for about 2.5 years now, and honestly don't know why I read it. I love books that are this size. Like, I feel like just sitting down and reading this is just so easy. The text, the writing in this one is perhaps a little bit too small. My Discworld books that are this size have much bigger text to make them very easy and readable. But just look at the covers. It looks great. It's a dark elf going on mysterious adventures. I want to get into that. I hear it's just good classic fantasy and fun stories that are, not crazy long. I'm excited to do that. But also another book that has just been staring at me for ages, the Powder Mage trilogy, Promise of Blood, Book 1 by Brian McClellan. Just Napoleonic fantasy with people snorting drugs to get magical powers. It sounds like something I'm going to have a great time with. It sounds like a fun read, fun, dark, gritty read. And I hope to get into this one. I have no reason not to start. It's been staring at me for so long, so I need to pick up that one. And then I think I might also try Grave Empire, because I loved all the ideas that Richard Swan had of Justice of Kings, just not the execution. So I want to give Grave Empire a go, because I hear he leans more into the horror elements. And he also just has written 3 more books since Justice of Kings, so I'm assuming he's going to be a much better writer than the rereads I'm doing this year, and I'll be doing in the back half of the year. I am rereading the Sun Eater series. My girlfriend's reading it for the first time. I'm going through it with her as we get ready for the release of Shadows Upon Time, Book 7, the last book of the series, coming out in November. I can't wait. I'm going to have to find someone to reach out to see if I can get an arc for it, because I'm so excited for the conclusion of this series. It's just fantastic. The writing is just so beautiful. The world building is incredible. The plot's so intriguing. The characters could be a little better. The side characters, that is. But really fantastic. Also, picking up one of my all-time favorite series. It probably is my favorite series, but because I haven't read it in 5 years, I just want to reread it to make sure I love it as much as I do, and because I just haven't spent time in these characters' heads in so long. Well, that's not true. I did read Game of Thrones last year, but I'm going to reread it again this year and then go into the rest of the books of the series. I just can't wait to return to the world that is most alive in my head, and really know when I make my top 10 list next year if this is a 1 or a 2 sort of series. Because the other series that I'm also going to be rereading, I'm not sure of yet, it's The Emperor of the Vampire by Jake Kristoff. My all-time favorite series. I got this lovely special edition for my birthday. All the pictures are done in color in this one. It's just really good quality, beautiful naked hardback with the lovely quote, "One day as a lion is worth 10,000 as a lamb" on the back. Empire of the Dawn, the last book of this trilogy, comes out in November. I should be getting an arc in the next couple of months. I don't know whether to reread books 1 and 2 and then go into the arc, or read book 3 and then come back and read this one afterwards, just knowing where it ends up. So I'm going to need you guys to help me decide. But I do really want to reread at least book 1 of the series, Empire of the Vampire, because I read Empire of the Damned in December last year for the second time. But I did my first reread of Empire of the Vampire in March last year. So it's been a while since I've read book 1, Empire of the Vampire. So I may dive into this one soon. I may reread it. I'll have to see how I go, where things end up. Then the other new releases I'll be planning to read outside of Empire of the Dawn and Shadows Upon Time will be The Strength of the Few, and this is the second series in the Hierarchy trilogy by James Islington. I had a good time with Will of the Many. I do think it's a bit overhyped, but the writing's good and the story ended up in a better place than the story was in for the majority of the book. So I'm very excited to see what happens there. Then just my goals, predictions, and hopes for the next 6 months with my reading journey. Well, firstly, the YouTube channel. I want to make sure I keep getting videos out to you guys every week. Obviously, I haven't been great with my uploads the last month. I think I missed a week when I was doing the move. It was just a bit too much going on for me to be able to stay on top of everything. I want to make sure I keep finishing off series. Sorry, I've done a really good job this year finishing things off so then I can start new things. So I'm going to be starting a lot of new things in the next 6 months, and I hope I can finish a lot of them too, and not just have a bunch of open-ended up series like I did at the start of this year, where I just had to spend the first 6 months just tidying up that TBR and that ongoing list. And then I also just want to read more books physically. I want to spend less time on audiobooks and just take my time reading physically and just getting lost in worlds again, not distractedly reading, just focused, good quality reads. Then I'm hoping to read at least 65 books this year. So that would be 5 books a month for the next 6 months. Definitely possible. I should probably get to 70 or 75, but I don't know yet. We'll have to see. I want to predict Malazan will be number 1 on my next top 10 fantasy series of all time list. But who knows? We're going to have Empire of the Vampire, Sun Eater, A Song of Ice and Fire all finished or front of mind by the time we get to making that list. So that's going to be very interesting to see where that ends up. I'm a little worried Empire of the Dawn is going to be a disappointment. Christoph hasn't ended his series in the best spot for all the trilogies of his I've read so far. And then I think Shadows Upon Time is going to be a very solid finish. I don't know if it's going to blow me away, but I think Sun Eater is going to end very well. So they're my predictions, hopes, goals for the end of the year, for the rest of the year. Please give me your half-yearly check-in and your hopes for the back half of the year. Thank you so much for watching and just have a great day.